Once upon a time, there was an old lady who lived in a small town. She was very kind. One day, the old lady stood by the road, waiting for the bus after buying groceries. As she adjusted her bag, it slipped from her hand, and all the fruits and vegetables scattered across the ground. The old lady bent down to pick them up. A poor woman, who was cleaning the street nearby, saw what happened. She quickly came over and said,
"Let me help you, Mother."
The poor woman gathered the fallen groceries and gently placed them back into the bag.
"Thank you so much, dear,"
the old lady said with a relieved smile. The poor woman smiled back and replied,
"It's nothing, Mother. We all need a little help sometimes."
She saw the poor woman's clothes were torn. The old lady asked,
"My dear, what's your name? And where do you live? How did your shirt get torn?"
The poor lady replied,
"Oh, Mother, my name is Elizabeth. Last week, I was in a hurry, and my shirt got stuck in an iron nail on the door. I live in a workers' colony in the west of this town, with my husband and children. My husband doesn't provide us any money for food and other daily needs. So, I have to work hard to raise my children."
The old lady asked again,
"So, what do you do?"
Elizabeth replied,
"Every morning and late evening, I collect and sell old clothes, papers, plastics, and scraps scattered on the streets. Then, I do my duty to clean the street roads."
The old lady asked,
"So after that, do you go and rest at home?"
"No, that's not all. Later, I go to do some shop and car cleaning jobs. And in the evenings, I go out to sell some fish in the market,"
said Elizabeth. For a while, Elizabeth took a long breath and said,
"Mother, this is how my tiring day goes. And I just don't get any time to stitch my clothes. We don't have sufficient money to buy new clothes. And all my savings go for our cottage rent."
The old lady felt concerned for Elizabeth's tough and hard struggles in life. She decided to help Elizabeth. The next day, the old lady gave her some money and bought some clothes for her and her children. Elizabeth felt deep gratitude and said,
"I am lucky that you helped me, Mother. There are not many people like you who understand others' problems. I pray that God blesses you."
The old lady smiled, patted her shoulder, hugged her tightly, and went back home. One day, the old lady said to Elizabeth,
"Can I visit your home today?"
Elizabeth smiled and said,
"Of course, Mother. Please come."
They walked to Elizabeth's small home. As they arrived, Elizabeth called out,
"Children, come and meet Mother."
2 little kids ran out to greet her. The old lady smiled and said,
"Hello. I brought you some gifts."
She gave them notebooks, pencils, erasers, and crayons. The kids were excited and said,
"Thank you so much."
Elizabeth then said,
"Mother, please sit while I prepare lunch."
The old lady sat down in the small kitchen, and Elizabeth started cooking. First, Elizabeth washed some rice and put it in a pot to boil on the stove.
"I'm making plain rice. It's quick,"
she said with a smile. She chopped some fresh vegetables, onions, tomatoes, and green chilies. She put a little oil in a pan and added the onions first, stirring them until they turned golden. Then, she tossed in the tomatoes and chilies, adding salt and a few spices. After that, Elizabeth took out some fresh fish, cleaned it, and seasoned it with salt and turmeric. She heated some oil in another pan and carefully fried the fish until it turned crispy and golden brown. Once the rice was ready and the curry was cooked, she placed everything on simple plates. They sat together on the floor, with the children joining them. They ate boiled rice, fried fish, and a vegetable curry.
"The food is delicious,"
the old lady said. The children were smiling and laughing, enjoying their food too. After the meal, the old lady said,
"This was such a lovely time. Thank you, Elizabeth."
Elizabeth replied,
"No, thank you, Mother. You have made my children so happy today."
A few weeks later, the old lady was crossing the road. A car hit her from behind. Everyone in that vicinity gathered around her. Elizabeth was collecting the scrapes on the same road that time. She heard the noise and went to see the crowd. As she pushed through the crowd, Elizabeth saw the old lady lying in blood. Elizabeth immediately slit her clothes. She tied the cloth around the old lady's head, injured by the accident. She called for help and took the old lady to the hospital. All people just gathered around to watch the old lady accident and kept discussing about the old lady's pain. But no one came to help her. Only Elizabeth helped to save the old lady's life. And she truly cared for the old lady. When the old lady became conscious, she called Elizabeth and said,
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. You have saved my life. I owe it all to you.
Elizabeth replied,
I haven't done anything, Mother. I only returned your kindness by supporting you in your troubles, just like you helped me in my bad times.
Moral: kindness returns in times of need.